once again, if you have other vegetables in your fridge that you might want to add, you know, my vibes around these recipes, get creative, use what you have. If you don't like something, swap it out for something else. Don't get hooked up on like, oh, I don't have everything, I can't do it. Of course you can. Use what you have and use the things that you like and what works for your family, okay? The things that your family or whatever you have in your fridge. All right, make it as colorful as you like, and please make sure that you share all of your ingredients that you chose. So what we're going to do first is we're going to go ahead and get started with the quinoa. And Naya, if you can give us some clarification about
Yes.
the
So
ratio for
for the
water for one
ratio
cup.
for quinoa for 1 cup is 2 cups of water for 1 cup. I should have
Okay.
added an extra little signal to separate that. But for the ingredients, the recipe, it says 2 cups of quinoa. We provided you with 1 cup of quinoa. So for this, you'll be using 2 cups of water for this 1 cup of quinoa.
Okay. So we have our 2 cups of water. We're going in. And do I need to let the water boil before I add in my quinoa, or can I add the quinoa in with the water?
That is a great question. So
It's a great
per
question. Who?
the cooking instructions, it says combine quinoa and water in a medium pot, bring to a boil. So I
All
believe
right.
you are combining both.
Now I know some of you all like to wash your quinoa first. We can do that too. We can rinse it really well. The only thing about washing quinoa is you got to have a really good fine mesh strainer in order to capture that quinoa. I feel like Irma just jumped up to come save my life because I didn't have, because she's such an intuitive
And then
woman.
can you make sure that the stove camera is on?
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and give that quinoa a good rinse. All right. So we have rinsed our quinoa. Now we're going to go back in and 2 cups of water.
And yes, I seen a couple comments in the chat regarding the avocado. I believe the store that we went to, there weren't enough ripe avocados, so we did not provide you all with avocados. When picking up, please make sure that you look through your bag just to ensure that you have all ingredients. Sometimes, for the most part, we provide all ingredients, but sometimes there might we might not.
Yeah.
So we do
Sometimes
ask
we
before
can't.
you leave, you do check your bag just to see if you need to go to the store before this Thursday.
Yeah, so the apparently when they went shopping, there wasn't enough ripe avocados. Can we switch our camera view just for a
Yep.
quick sec? All right. All right. So I have my quinoa on the stove. I went ahead and turned that on immediately. You could, all right. So now the best way to do this so your corn will cook faster is to cut your corn in half if it's big. This one is already, I had to trim off the top because it was a little ugly on the top. But this other one, which is large, I'm gonna go ahead and cut it in half. And just make sure you're watching your fingers. All right. So I technically only have about, should be 4, but I have about 3, but that's okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and add my corn to my little pot, cover it with water. And we're going to let this corn boil for about 2 to 3 minutes. And then we're going to take it out and put it in an ice bath. Now, another thing that you can do, if you like, is you can go ahead and just make it raw. Honestly, you can eat your corn raw, and that's totally fine. All right. So the two things that we have on so far are our quinoa, which is going to cook on the stove between 10 to 15 minutes, that we're going to set it aside for 10. And then we have our corn that's also on the stove that's going to cook for about 3 minutes once it starts boiling. Okay. So, do I have any questions so far? And thank you for your understanding about the avocados. They were all really hard. Yes, Kiki. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
So if I'm not cooking my corn, do we need the ice bath?
No, you
Okay,
sure do not. Yeah,
thank
you
you.
can just go ahead and shave that corner. Yeah, no problem. And shout out to Kiki. Kiki, we met. Kiki was at the East Oakland Sports Center yesterday. Were you exercising there, Kiki?
I was doing the water walking class.
Okay, yes, that's awesome. So Kiki works out at the East Oakland Sports Center, and we're doing our food distribution, and she inquired about the class, and we had some extra bags, and I was like, if you show up, you can have a bag, and here you are. So I super appreciate you being here. Thank you so much, and feel free to ask any questions anytime. Raise your hand. We're always available to answer questions. So nice to have you here, Kiki. Welcome to the Good Life family.
Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. All right. So, do we have any other questions? How you doing, G? Hey, G. Naya, do we have anything going on in the chat?
We had a comment from Tammy, and she said she likes to toast her quinoa before cooking.
Okay, thank you. I love that tip because, of course, a lot of us, even for myself, or the quinoa is not a familiar space, right? So learning different techniques on how to cook these things are actually awesome. One thing I learned was that quinoa needed to be rinsed. I did not know that. I would have just thrown it in a pot and boiled it. So toasting the quinoa, which is another thing I like to toast my couscous also, and when I eat what's the other one that we eat? The orzo pasta. I like to toast the orzo pasta also. So yeah, toasting is good. Anything else going on in the cat?
And
Hey,
yes,
Grace.
we have
You're
a
welcome,
new
Grace.
joined member of Grace, and she was wondering when is the recipe sent out? The recipe is sent out usually every Monday, if not the latest, every Tuesday. And you can always find our recipe every week on Monday on our website. You will go to thegoodlifepath.org. You scroll over to categories, drop down, and select Let's Get Cooking Recipes, and the recipe of the week is always the first one in queue.
Hmm.
And there's
Yeah, but
also dates on them as well.
yeah, and we're trying really hard to get those recipes out on Mondays, so you'll have a couple of days to get your shopping done if you're not picking up the ingredients from us. Um, it looks like did we have Bo in the comments also?
Yes, she says, "Good morning, family."
Good morning.
And then
Good
G
morning,
said, "Good
mother.
morning." Emily said, "Hi." Brenda said, "Welcome back, young lady. Welcome back,
Thank
Amina."
you. Thank you. So all of you all should know, it was my 50th birthday, so I took some time off to go. Yeah, I know. Isn't that wonderful? I'm so excited. I don't know. I'm just like super excited about being 50. I know, when you're in your 20s, you don't think that like you'd be so, but I am like super excited. I feel so good about being in just being 50. And so I had a nice little vacay. One of my dreams was to go see to go visit the continent, the motherland. And so I went back to the continent of Africa and did some exploring around a few of the countries there. I visited Cairo, the pyramids there, and I visited Zanzibar and South Africa. And it was wow. I'm still kind of reeling from the whole thing and kind of processing it all, but it was lovely and I was inspired and just my mind was just super open just thinking about all the lovely things that I wanted to come back and do with the program. So I'm super excited to be here with you all. All right, so everybody should have their quinoa on and their corn. Doris, are you good? You good? Okay. You're looking good, Doris. All right. So our
Um,
quinoa, yes, ma'am.
in the directions near the end, it says to add scallops, but it's nowhere listed in the
Uh-huh.
ingredient.
Told you, Naya. Told you. I was like, somebody gonna get us.
It's okay.
Michael's laughing.
I keep green
Uh-huh.
onions, so I got
That's
some.
why I mentioned it in the beginning. I was like, if you have scallions, go ahead and add it in because I was like, somebody's gonna get us about
I'm
those
sorry,
scallions.
y'all.
So it's
Oh,
okay, Naya. So what happened was in the video that was it was just not translated in the recipe. So when the recipe got to the shopper, it was not in there. So no scallions were purchased. So I was like, oh, there's supposed to be scallions in here. But so our apologies. But once again, if you have green onion scallions, and that's why I kind of prefaced the class with like whatever veggies you have in your fridge that you feel like would be a good pairing, go ahead and add them in. But scallions, definitely, yes, ma'am. Scallions were supposed to be in that bag.
So if you don't have green onions or scallions, can you just use regular onions, red onions, or anything like that? Or
Red onions would be absolutely perfect,
oh,
actually. Yeah.
thank you.
And I dropped off a whole bunch of red onions to the center, so hopefully you guys grab some. You did? Okay, good. Oh, Michael, you're right. It is. Oh, look at Irma. Irma. Irma.
Thank you, Irma.
Irma. Thanks, Irma. Irma came through and saved the day. Irma brought me an avocado too. Thanks, Irma. So yeah, if you do not have scallions, green onions, which are pretty much, in my mind, scallions and green onions are the same thing. You can use red onions. You could use what are the smaller ones? The
Shallots?
no shallots.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can use shallots. So red onions, thinly sliced shallot, whatever type of onion. And not everybody likes onions. So, you know. All right. So let's go ahead and I'm going to check. All right. So our quinoa is boiling. So now we're going to put our lid on it, right?
Oh, let me go back to
Oh,
the
and you want to add a pinch of
directions.
salt into your quinoa.
So yes, once your quinoa has been brought to a boil, you're going to cover, reduce the heat, and simmer for 15 minutes.
And we'll make sure you add a little pinch of salt, okay? Just a little pinch. All right, so we're turning that down. And right now, the corn is not quite boiling, but we're almost there.
And then we have a few comments from the chat. Carol, you asked, I might have missed it, but how soon will this recipe be available on YouTube? So